Hello, and welcome back, Monsketeers, to another Ragnarok Vloggentary. Today, we're going to Disneyland. That's right, we went to Disneyland not too long ago, and it was our first family trip to Disneyland. I've been to Disneyland a number of times. I grew up in Southern California, San Diego, to be precise, and Disneyland was, a fairly regular occurrence. I wouldn't say we went a crazy amount of times, but, once, twice a year maybe. Now, since we live in Nashville, we more often go to Disney World. And that's, we've been there a number of times as a family, but this was exciting because not only was it our first family trip, but it was the first time for everybody but me. So something different. The original. You know what I mean? Magic Kingdom's great, but there's just nothing that truly can compare to Disneyland. There's a monorail shot coming up pretty soon that I'm pretty excited about. Look at my family. Look at all these people. Hey! Maverick wasn't feeling super great this trip, but he powered through like a champion. Look how adorable he is. It's a shame that he's not gonna remember any of this, but that's part of the reason why I do the Vloggentaries. It's kind of like it's a documentary of our life in a way. So though he won't remember the trip that we took, he'll get to watch this and, kind of re-experience it when he's older. I mean, look at this. This is some golden hour video right here. See, my wife even had to jump in for the selfie with the epic lighting in the back. That was the monorail shot that I was talking about. I thought it was better. Sorry to have hyped that up. So for those, look over there, see Minnie Mouse? Usually that's Mickey Mouse, but we were there during Women's Appreciation Month, I think it was, and they minied up the entrance. Usually it's Mickey, but I think it looks pretty cool as Minnie. I wouldn't be mad if they alternated between the two, but at the same time, Mickey is Mickey. You know what I mean? So. For anyone who's been to both Magic Kingdom and Disneyland, you'll know the feeling, the different feeling you get from both parks. They are laid out somewhat similar, but they don't feel alike in any way. Does that make sense? It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain unless you've experienced it yourself. But here we are. Here we are, walking on to, what is this, Town Square, I think it is. I might conflate the two, Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. I'm afraid I'm going to misspeak and call something, what it's called in the other park. But look at this, right at the entrance, as soon as you walk in, you got, I was going to say the Fab 5, but it looks like it's only 3 of them. Yeah, it was only Mickey, Goofy, and Minnie, but I mean, come on. You experience Disneyland for the first time, you expect to be welcomed by Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and Donald and Pluto, but I guess the 3 of them had other things to do. You can tell this was early in the morning, and this was the end of our trip to San Diego. Like, we went to San Diego, and then before flying back to Nashville, we went up to Anaheim and did Disneyland. So we have a full, week of San Diego behind us at this point, and the exhaustion shows a little bit. Here come the vehicles for the day. Look at that. Look at where the sun is. This is just beautiful, right? it's hard to beat the golden hour. Twice a day, sunrise, sunset. I'm trying to think if I've ever ridden any of the Main Street transportation vehicles, and I don't think I have. But at the same time, I don't know, you know? Because my mother would take me to Disneyland from, like, my earliest of it. Nah, you're good, bro. Don't worry about it. You were in my shot, but, you know, you weren't obstructing my shot. Yeah, I like that guy. He was conscientious. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Yeah, my mom started taking me to Disneyland. I mean, I presume from when I was, like, Maverick's age. But I have memories, like, solid going to Disneyland memories from probably 3 years old. Maybe earlier, but that's really kind of pushing it. I remember my earliest memory of going to Disneyland, like getting up and going to Disneyland, was it was my mom, my dad, me, and my cousin Trisha. Now, it was just the four of us, so I don't know where my cousin Chris was. That's Trisha's brother. And I know that my sister Chelsea hadn't been born yet, and she and I are 3 years apart, so this very well may have been when I was 2, or maybe my mom was pregnant at the time. I can't remember that much detail, but I distinctly remember driving the 2 hours up from San Diego to Anaheim, and I had chocolate Teddy Grahams that I was stashing in an Easter egg, and it was a blue Easter egg, and I think I was sharing them with Trisha. I don't know, or I was just kind of being a little punk and keeping them for myself. I can't really recall, but yeah. So anyway, here we are on Main Street. that was a tangent. See, you hear me talking about it's good to be back at Disneyland? It is. It really is. Yeah. And then my wife just said it feels like Disney World, but it doesn't. You know you're somewhere else. You can walk down Main Street in Disneyland and walk down Main Street in Magic Kingdom, and you can definitely tell they're different, but they feel the same, if that makes any sense at all. Doesn't make any sense at all. That was a sight that you don't get. Oh, the Penny Arcade. They don't have a Penny Arcade on Main Street in Magic Kingdom. And the Penny Arcade is one of my favorite parts of Main Street in Disneyland. And then that's something you also don't get in Magic Kingdom. The Matterhorn back there. They don't have one, which I don't understand why. It's kind of a bummer they don't. The top of Main Street here, again, similarly in Magic Kingdom, they have like a seating area, but it's not identical to the seating area here at Disneyland, so I don't know. Nerdy stuff. Style kind of ride. Look at those pink trees. You know what's interesting is here at our house, in our neighborhood, there are trees that will bloom pink in the spring, and it always makes me so happy seeing that, and I wonder if it's like a subconscious thing because it reminds me of Disneyland. Or is that a stretch? Am I thinking too deeply into it?
The Astro Orbiter?
And look at that. There's the partner statue.
What are you asking me?
Mickey, Walt. And there's Sleeping Beauty's castle. Now, I'm going to say something. Look at this. I had to get it with the sun in the background. Oh, look at that. And there's the Matterhorn. Yeah, the castles. The castles. Cinderella's castle is enormous, and it is a sight to behold. And if Sleeping Beauty's castle is the only one you've experienced, then it feels much more grand to you. But after going to Cinderella's castle, it's just kind of like, this castle feels modest. My wife will talk some smack about how rinky-dink it is and blah, 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 because she's a Magic Kingdom diehard. But this is my castle, man. This is the castle I grew up with. So this will always hold a magical place in my heart. Though I will admit, compared to Cinderella's castle, it does feel more modest. And I say that's because Cinderella has to be a show-off.
Oh, it's right there.
She's got something to prove.
You can try.
Walking through Fantasyland is, again, walking through the castle. This feels very similar to Magic Kingdom, but it just doesn't feel...
What do you mean?
I don't know, man. Magic Kingdoms, it feels different. It looks different, too. But, I don't know. I like... You know, it's kind of... That's a good way to put it. Disneyland compared to Magic Kingdom it's more modest, like the castle. It feels more cozy. Everything's closer together. I feel like the trees and stuff are more... They're more clustered together to help hide the outside world, which I do love and appreciate. My wife's obsession is the outdoor teacups at Disneyland. She's super psyched on the fact that the teacups are outdoors in Disneyland. And I mean, they're covered in Disney World, but I still feel like they're pretty outdoors. You know, they just kind of have like a canopy over top. But I guess she likes to see the sky while I spin us back in time. Look at that. The Matterhorn is something that I recall being able to see from the freeway on the drive up. So it's just... Look at my beard. I don't have that beard anymore, but man, I had a beard. Crazy. It made me look super old. You see how much gray was in there? Ugh. Captain Hook, Wendy, Peter. Some ducks. Then you got Tomorrowland back there. That's the Astro Orbiter.
Oh, I'm into that.
And then here we go to Adventureland.
That.
I thought we were going into Adventureland, but no, apparently we're going to get some food first. At the Jolly Holiday. Took me a long time to realize that was a Mary Poppins reference, for those of you wondering. Because it's a Jolly Holiday with Mary. Weird. For a second, it felt like we were on a boat, but we're not. We're just walking past the lagoon. Is that what they call it? I forget. But that's the Tom Sawyer's Island over there. Maybe Robinson Crusoe. I'm a little embarrassed that I can't really recall. It's one of the two, though. It's either Tom Sawyer's Island or Robinson Crusoe. Or was there a Robinson Crusoe something else? The treehouse used to be Swiss Family Robinson before it turned into Tarzan. I don't know. It's embarrassing. Hey, look, the Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, on the outside, I would argue, is much, much more impressive than the one in Magic Kingdom. Now, the ride at Magic Kingdom, I think, is a little more... it's longer, and there's more to see. So, I don't know. It's a little bit better. Bane's warning the little girl in line behind us to close her eyes and plug her ears because it's a scary ride. And I think I kind of went through the same thing he did as a kid. The first few times we rode Haunted Mansion at Magic Kingdom, Bane loved it. He used to call it Spooky House, and he always wanted to go on the Spooky House ride. But as he's gotten older, I think it kind of has started to creep him out a little bit. And I don't know. He's also pretty sensitive to loud noises and things like that. So, you know, I don't know. There's not a whole bunch of loud noises on the ride, though. So, I don't know. He's a gem. I love him. But he did well. He did well. And then we've also been back to Magic Kingdom since, and I think we rode Haunted Mansion that time too. And I think he did pretty good. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know. It all kind of runs together sometimes. The bummer about Haunted Mansion and doing these vloggentaries using my phone camera, it's just too dark. It's really too dark to make it worth it. I will one day alleviate that issue and do a ride through and ride along for the Haunted Mansion rides, but until I get my hands on a camera that can handle the low light and make it still look good, and we're just gonna have to do without. It's okay though. It's okay. I keep telling myself that. But here we are. Tomorrowland. I just realized that we never actually went into Adventureland when I showed the sign. So, I shoot these.
They didn't have anything?
Just kind of look at that. That was some sort of like boba parfait thing. Maybe it wasn't called a parfait. And I don't think it was called boba, but it was Boba Fett colors. It might have been Bounty Hunter or something. I don't remember. Space Mountain. This is post Space Mountain. Space Mountain in Disneyland, I will argue, is the better of the two. I kind of forget all the differences, but there are a few. There are quite a few. I think the one in Disneyland is actually faster, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh wait, this isn't post. Oh, it is post. So the boys got to go on it with Marissa, and now this is my turn going on it with them. So they just got off the ride and we're going back on because we would do rider swap because we got the baby. We have Maverick. So the boys got to ride these rides 2 times over. Which I guess makes having a baby brother more exciting when you go to the Disney parks, because if you're one of the older siblings, you get to ride the rides twice. It's a cool thing that they do. Did you know they did that? Rider swap? I did not know that until I had kids, or until I went with children of my own. Look at this little, I don't know what you would call this. Is it a cavalcade? It's just kind of a stroll. Cruella looks a little out of place, no? But I guess the same could be said for Alice. Because it's Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Goofy, Donald, and then Alice and Cruella. Oh, and Chip and Dale, look at them up there too. Still, Alice and Cruella, a little out of place? No? Since we've been to Batuu over in Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World, we didn't really do much in Batuu and Disneyland. We didn't really care to go on Smuggler's Run, because that's not even really one that we care to do when we go to Hollywood Studios. I mean, it's a cool ride. It's fun if you get one of the seats worth sitting in, like the pilot or the co-pilot. The gunners, it's okay, but if you're stuck in that engineer spot, I mean, the ride is barely a ride at that point for you, because you're sitting in a weird spot where you're the furthest back from the screen, I believe, and then your task on the mission is just to hit a button that lights up. So it's not like you're doing much of anything. So you have the worst seat and the worst job, like the worst interactive feature, and it's just, I think we can all agree, if you've been on Smuggler's Run, that being an engineer is the most disappointing part. So we didn't bother. And then Rise of the Resistance. We've been on Rise of the Resistance in Hollywood Studios a few times, and to my understanding, they're identical to each other. So we just, we skipped it. We went to go do other Disneyland-y things, but we went over there to use the restroom. Went to Batuu to use the potty. Because Batuu does have the best bathrooms, I think, in both parks. There's Miguel from Coco.
Why don't you look at Miguel? We'll get a picture.
I like how he had a animated head, but a normal human body.
Well, now you do.
There you go.
For the day.
There we go.
Well, you're my favorite person too.
Bane was super psyched to meet Maribel.
I see you.
We had listened to that soundtrack basically the entire drive up to Disneyland from San Diego, so Bane told Maribel that she is his favorite madrigal. Madrigal? Family madrigal. Is right? And then she said, "You're my favorite person." And he was super psyched. Super psyched. Look at that kid. Starstruck. And then there we are, trying to get our family photo in front of the castle, as we always do. We have the result of this photo up in our house. Oh, and my wife was using a film camera, too. She brought a film camera to give it, to really embrace the like 80s, 90s nostalgia vibe. So what we got developed from that camera, or those cameras, we have up in our house now. There's Splash Mountain. And I'm going to be honest with you. I did a ride-along for Splash Mountain in Magic Kingdom. And when it came time to do a ride-along and ride through for Splash Mountain here in Disneyland, as we got to the load-on, I had forgotten just how much more soaking wet you get on the Disneyland version of this ride. At Disney World, Magic Kingdom, you get splashed. Splash Mountain lives up to the name, Splash Mountain. So you get a little wet. But this ride, this version, you get drenched, like soaking wet. And I chickened out. Like when you load onto the logs, I guess they're logs, the boats in Disney World, things are a little damp but relatively dry. Everything is soaking wet on the Disneyland version when you're getting on. So I chickened out and put my phone away. I didn't know like how everything looked soaking wet, and I just wasn't prepared to risk any water damage to my phone. So like the Haunted Mansion, I'm gonna have to make some adjustments to get a ride along for Splash Mountain Disneyland, which I don't think I'm gonna get, because by the time we go to Disneyland again, I think it'll already be under refurbishment to become Tiana's Bayou Adventure, or whatever ridiculous name they have. I did a whole podcast as part of our Skeleton Crew Fight Club podcast series, where I give my 2 cents on the Princess and the Frog retheming. So go dig that up. LealLegacy.com. Skeleton Crew Fight Club, part of Ragnarok. Look at Disneyland at night. Look at the Haunted Mansion at night. So spooky, so eerie. I love it. My wife just said, "I wish we rode it at night," and I get it. It looks really cool and looks much more spooky at night, but inside the ride's still going to be exactly the same. Outside has nothing to do with how the inside looks. And here's the Jungle Cruise. The Jungle Cruise at Disneyland, I also did not do a ride along, and that was because for the same problem as Haunted Mansion, where the low light just wasn't going to be. But here's the queue. I think one of the longest queues in Disneyland, for sure. Haunted Mansion feels a little long. Pirates, not so much. Pirates, we didn't get to go on because it was under refurbishment when we were there, and that was such a bummer, because Disneyland's Pirates, I would argue, is better than Magic Kingdom's. There's 2 drops in the Disneyland version. There's only 1 in Magic Kingdom. I'm trying to think back to the queue at Magic Kingdom for Jungle Cruise, and I feel like it's more I forget. It feels more safari-ish, if that's a term that makes sense. I don't know. But look at this. The torches. Everything's all lit up at night.
What?
Look at that. Look at them yawn. Wearing down. Everyone's feeling the exhaustion. And we did California Adventure the next day after this, so you can only imagine how much more we were feeling the exhaustion there. But my Aunt Gina and my cousins Brianna and Vanessa joined us, so you'll get to see them when we do the Vloggentary for that. Just soak it in. I'm just soaking it in right now. I did a lot of footage of the queue for Jungle Cruise for not having to video the ride. Look at him. That's tired Baney becoming delirious. Still more of the queue. What is wrong with me? This is really just making me regret not doing video for the ride, because even if it was too kind of like dark and not the best, whatever, at least I had it. Same with Splash Mountain. You know, you live, you learn. Oh, look at my sweet little Mav. He was such a champ. Boat loading. And also, I took Mav from my wife, so I'm holding him now, which also kind of impeded the ability to do some video, because you know he grabs at things. So it's whatever. But look, I guess it could have been okay, but it's shaking right there because Mav was. Oh, there we go. That's why I didn't do it. You see, I'm glad I held out. I'm glad I showed this, because no, it wouldn't have been worth it at all. That is unbelievably dark. And then there's Mav grabbing at the phone. So yeah. Well, good. That makes me feel better for not doing the whole ride. But yeah, man, for our first family trip to Disneyland, I feel it was a success. And you know, there's still a lot left on the table for us to go back and do an experience for the first time again. Well, it won't be the first time for me per se, but like Pirates will be a new experience for them the next time we're there. Marissa and Rylan got to ride Indiana Jones, but Bane sat that one out, so it'll be exciting for him. That'll be a new experience for him. Marissa didn't ride Splash Mountain, so but like I said, by the time we're there, the new Splash Mountain might be a new experience for all of us. So just look how glorious this is. And Disney at Magic Kingdom at night, Main Street is almost blinding to look at. There's a subtlety to the Disney. See, look at him always grabbing the phone. There's a subtlety to the to Main Street at night at Disneyland that I really love. There's my podcast that I was talking about. Go search that up across all your favorite podcast platforms. Our store, our family merch store, Skeleton Crew, leallegacy.com/shop. Lots of Disney-inspired things in there. And look us up on social media, everywhere and anywhere under Leal Legacy. Later.